I like to take all these young friends to thousands of years of our colonization and the civilization. The civilization started and the man wanted to dominate another man. One man over another man, one group over another group, one country over another country, like that. And that is part is called as colonization. So we saw traditionally something called as military colonization. Somebody would come with sword, then cannon, guns, rule the other part. We were ruled by so many people. Britishers came here, Dutch came here, Mughals were there. Everybody had come because they had that military colonization part. But in the last 200 years, we saw that this has changed. World has emerged better. There is civilization. Things have happened in the right way. But then energy colonization happened. There are people who produce oil. There are countries who consume oil. We consume a lot of oil. There are countries who produce oil. We want to buy from them. But there are third countries who don't sell to us but dictate the terms. How should you buy the oil? Now, who are those countries? What is the power? Because they dictate terms. They are called as all energy colonizers. Now, in the last 30, 40 years, what we have seen is something called as data colonization, where the data is used like somebody, you would have heard in the stories that there were countries or part of the geography where the water was protected and they would sell the water to the citizens against their will, They would like to sell. So same way, the data has been protected and it has been sold. And this can be done in two ways, either by conflict or by convenience. So what they do in these kind of apps which you have taken names, they lure you, they convince you, you sign it and you give up your own liberty. You sign up your liberty and sign your slavery to them and you say that, okay, the data can be taken by them. And moreover, a geography which is not even more than NCR. If you put in Gurgaon, Delhi and Noida, there is a geography which talks about themselves to be superior in cyber security. The total population will not be of half the Noida.
Correct.
Yet they think that they are superior in this thing because they have created that kind of narration. And this narration can be done because you have become a part of that colonization. You accept that colonization without challenging it. And I think it is duty of each citizen, one, to educate each other, two, to create noise so that people in the power listen to this and then they put in laws which protects us.
Correct.
So sometimes they would like to create a camouflage that this is observation by Big Brother, they would like to mediate, but this is basically to protect you because like mother protects a child, I think the nation also protects and laws will protect. So we all look forward for this law.
But here is the thing, Khushbu. When the government says we want to keep tabs on what you're doing and the apps that you are getting in, you're saying you're invading into my privacy. How dare you do that? How can you get into my phone? But those who are willingly signing away their privacy, when they realize, "Arey, mera data chura liya, arey, mera data info leak ho gaya," they turn to the government. "Ye sarkar kuch nahi kar rahi hai." So how do I draw the line here?
Absolutely. So when you talk about freedom of speech and expression, right to privacy, okay, these are your fundamental rights, but they cannot be impediment to enforcement of law by the government, by the law enforcement agencies. These are not the rights you can take shelter of, or these platforms can take a shelter of, saying that my user's privacy or my user's right to freedom of speech and expression is paramount so much so that the moment my country tries to implement law, where investigating agencies try to do investigation, at that time you cannot take this as an excuse. It cannot be an impediment to investigation, and this is not just in India, this is worldwide, that you cannot use these sections for that, you cannot garb under that. Where implementation of rules and regulations and policy, all these platforms, everybody have their own self-designed rules and regulations. Now, one side is that what they publish and how they act are two separate stories. It's evidence-based.
Correct. So a platform that bans a president of a country, can it be a platform?
Absolutely not. But if you're doing it,
so then should our courts consider it as a platform?
No. I'm saying, okay, let's consider
them. So then what rules apply there? Sorry.
Absolutely. Let's consider them platform which are passive intermediary, which do not have any action. We are just a platform where somebody comes and goes, I have nothing to say. But these platforms created self-rules. Now, those self-rules are for their own benefits, for whatever the purpose or agenda which is beneficial to themselves. So now you're not a passive intermediary, you're active because you're involved, you are checking who is saying what. It doesn't suit my policy, I'm going to get you out. It suits, I'm going to amplify. There are bots run by on these platforms, all of us are aware about. So what you're doing is you're picking and choosing, you're active. Now you're active intermediary. When you're active intermediary, you're not passive, you're acting, then what stops you to act when it comes to policy of the country, when it comes to constitution? At that time, you cannot say that I do not want to act. So when freedom of speech and expression is there for for individual A, it should be there. It is not there when you want to impose your policy, when it is not in favor of your policy. But the moment there is law and order situation in my country, or there is a situation of imposing such kind of rules and regulations, or there is an investigation which is going on, at that time, freedom of speech and expression cannot be a reason. See, you cannot be so picky and choosy in implementing laws.
But do we have a rule or a law which governs these platforms?
So exactly. That's why, see, Section 230C of Communication and Decency Act created all this fiasco of safe harbor protection, which is a US act which almost every country across adopted. We also adopted. We gave them under Section 79 that you enjoy safe harbor protection. Safe harbor protection says that you are immune by all kind of things because you are just a platform. Any kind of crime happens, you are immune to that. Now what happened is they started enjoying two sides of immunity. One side is right, but not the liability. So you have to have liability. You cannot just enjoy one side of protection which has been given. Now countries started realizing that these platforms are becoming big, and they are not just platforms. They are not passive. They are active, and they are playing a very important role in terms of setting a trend.
They are
in
setting
terms
the
of
narrative for the
narrative, and also they are becoming a platform for lot of crime activities which are happening. Hence, countries have to step in because it's government's job to practically protect citizen. So they are coming in between, and that they are creating policy. Hence, we got with our 2021 rules where we say that we are going to continue giving you safe harbor protection. So much so that in certain conditions, you have to abide by these rules and regulations to make internet safe for my citizen. If you abide by that, absolutely fine, you enjoy the safe harbor protection. If you do not, you lose to enjoy the safe harbor protection. You are as good as somebody else. Now let me take it, because to make it more simpler, because all of us hate government so much snooping, but we love to give our data to Snapchat, to FaceApp, or to 20,000 apps which are originating from North Korea, China, and all other places. But government, we hate it. So let me give it very basic example that why it is necessary. Two examples I'll give. I'll just take 2 minutes for that. One, let's say a crime happens with you today. Somebody has created a fake profile of yours and maybe used some pornographic pictures, morphed your pictures and used it. So there is identity theft. There is a pornography, they have used it. So both are punishable offense, right? What do you do? Now this has caused a lot of distress to you and your family, your friends, and your so where do you go? The first action you'll go is you'll go to a police station. What do you expect from the police station? Solve my case, get the person who has done this, put him behind the bars, or punish him, whatever the law says. Now for police to go, how will it act? Law says yes, it's a punishable offense. But how do you implement it? The moment you implement, platform says, sorry, I can't tell you the identity of the person because, I like his privacy. And whatever he has said, it's freedom of speech and expression. I'm really sorry. Then what will you say? That you have a law, but you can't implement. A. Now, the second example which I wanted to give you is that same scenario, whenever we have these laws which are there, platforms, let's say physical, we understand the physical aspect of it. Let's say I rent a room in Goenka ji's house. He has given me a room for a rent. Now, I bring in lots of arms and ammunitions over there. Police comes with a warrant to his place that we have to get into that. Now, Vinit ji says, sorry, I can't allow. So they say, no, we have a valid warrant to come in and check the place. He says, sorry. So will they book Vinit ji also in the same charges or aiding to the crime? Will they? He has, now they told that there is all likelihood there is arms and ammunition. So he has got a knowledge. Knowledge is important over here. So what we are saying over here to these platforms that there is a knowledge. We are giving you the knowledge if you don't have it. We are telling you that the crime is happening. Now at least cooperate with us and let us investigate.